We're going to make this bird box, and we're going to make it out of one piece of timber, in this case hardwood. It's 1.5 metres long and 150 millimetres wide. And the other tools that we're going to need are a universal jacksaw, a handsaw, carpenter's square, about 20 number 8 30mm screws, a few roofing felt tacks, felt nails, a 32mm flat bit, an 8mm wood bit, and a 3 and a 2mm wood bit as well, a countersink bit, a tape measure. We're greedy, we use 2 drills. This one is a percussion screwdriver, and this is a combination drill, but one drill driver will do you fine, and of course a pencil. They're all of the things that you need to make this bird box, and now we're going to run through how we make it. Okay, now I said earlier that we need a piece of timber 150 millimeters wide and 1.5 meters long. The actual bird box will take probably around about 45 inches or 1.145 or something, allowing for saw cuts. Always make sure that you allow for saw cuts. But by saying 1.5, we've allowed quite a bit left over for a recut, because 99% of the time there will be a mistake made, and if you've got a little bit of extra timber, it's much cheaper than running down the shop to get a whole new piece. Okay, so I'm going to run through the individual sizes, and they will appear on the web page as well. The back of the bird box is 300 millimeters long by 150 wide. Altogether, the sides come to 400 millimeters long by 150 wide, but these have got a diagonal cut, so this gives you a sloping roof. And the shorter side of each cut is 160. Okay, so it's 200 on the long side, 160 on the short side. The front with the hole in it, this is a 32mm hole, which will allow small birds. Again, there's a chart on the web page so you can see which birds can go through which holes. This front is 160mm long and 150mm wide. The roof of the bird box is 200mm long, again 150 wide, and the base is 115mm by the 150 width. Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts to the bird box, plus in this case we've got a small piece of damp-proof membrane which we're going to use as a hinge for the roof to allow us to open it quite easily and close it again. And now we're going to put this lot together. So the first thing that we'll do, we'll take all of the parts and get rid of the demonstration piece of timber, and I'll lay this out so that you can see how it goes together. That's the back, and then we're going to take the sides, and the sides will go there. Let's show you so that the camera can get a better idea. The sides clearly go on the sides. The base drops into there. The front screws into those, and then the roof fits on the top. So they're all of the parts. You can see the roof overhangs the front a little bit to take the rain off, and our little rubber hinge will go in there. Okay, so where 2 pieces of timber join, we'll just demonstrate on one. Where 2 pieces of timber join, you will see that we've drilled a hole, in this case a 3mm hole, and then use a countersink bit so that the screws we're going to use go right the way through. Go right the way through, and sit either flush with or slightly below the level of the timber. That's called countersinking. There's another page on our website for pilot holes and countersinking. So we've got the sides which join to the back, and you can see we've drilled and countersunk those. So that's the first thing I'm going to put together. I'll put the screws in here, into the holes, and making sure we're lined up at the bottom. And then we have a nice strong side. Okay, we'll do the same on the other side. Screws in the holes once you've drilled them. It's important when you're drilling the pilot hole through the timber with the countersinking that you line this up first. You can clamp it in place if you want to and drill straight through into this timber. The reason for that is it stops the timber splitting as the screw goes in. And the reason that we used a 3mm drill bit for the holes is so that the screw can still bite, because these scrills are just a little bit more than 4mm thread, so that still bites in and the hole's not too bad. So now's the time you can actually see that the piece of timber that we used is slightly warped. Now it's unlikely you're going to get a dead straight piece of timber from the builder's merchants. You will have to hunt through it yourself if you want some, but you do need to bear in mind, of course, that with a bird box it's quite a good idea that there are a few gaps here and there, because it allows any rainwater out, and you'll see from the base that we've actually drilled a couple of holes in the base, 8mm holes, so that any water that does get in the bird box can get out again. And believe it or not, when a bird is in there nesting, putting in, it's insulating the box, and some condensation can arise inside the box. So you do need some air inside the box. So you can see by slotting these bits in all together and straightening it up, because the timber's warped, we can put the front on. I'm going to get on with screwing that lot together, as you've seen, and then come back to it when we're ready to put the roof on. Now you can see that we've put it all back together again. The screws are all countersunk in their little holes, and the roof I've actually trimmed. It's not necessary, but I've actually trimmed that down at the correct angle to sit up against the timber. But as I've said, you know, a few gaps here and there certainly won't hurt, because a bit of air is quite good to have in the box. And now we're going to move on to the hinge for the roof. So I've cut this piece of rubber. This is 50mm wide, or a little bit under 50mm actually, but 50mm is great. And then, because I'm using hardwood, I've marked the hinge line, if you like, or the centre, and I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to sit that there, and then I'm going to draw a line along the front of that hinge, so that I can then put a tiny 1.5 or 2mm bit in my drill, and so that I don't split the timber by hammering in the galvanised roofing nails, felting nails, I'm going to drill some pilot holes for the nails as well. Okay, and we'll get our little nails, push those through the felt into our pilot holes. There we are. And then we'll grab a hammer. Put this on the edge of the bench. first half of our hinge. Again, onto the bird box. Put the bird box on its lid. Turn it round so that you can see what I'm doing. Making sure that the sides are square and the hinge part is tucked into the lid. We can do the same thing again here. I always think it looks a lot nicer if you line the nails up on the back with the nails that you put in the lid itself. So we'll push them in. Again, put that on the edge of the workbench, give them a little tap so they don't jump out. Well, that one's going to. A hinged lid. That will allow you to get in and clear it out, but of course, especially now, we're filming this in February and the winds are blowing at 100 miles an hour. So we've drilled an extra little hole in the front just to put one screw in so that the wind can't move that lid. And then it takes a little while for the birds to get used to it and to start nesting, and of course when they do, you can take that screw out, hinge the lid, get in there to clean it out, and that then is a completed bird box. 2 holes through the back. It's not a good idea to screw the bird box into a tree because the tree starts growing around it, and also of course as the tree grows it could split the bird box, it could fall out or whatever. So just some cord and hang the bird box from the tree and the birds will find their way in. So that's how to make a very, very simple bird box with the DIY Doctor. Hope you enjoyed the video.